happy Wednesday, everybody, and thank you so much for these questions. It's been some time, and we do have a number of questions for you today. And so we did take a couple weeks off as I had the birth of my child. So I was out for about a week or two. So we do have a lot of questions, and we're going to basically record this as a two-parter. And so I'm going to read half the questions for this session, and then stay tuned for the next half of the questions on our regular scheduled Ask the Mayor, which will be in 2 weeks from today. So let's get right into it. So our first question is from Sherry. The town has a number of plots on small land, like the land next door to Queen Pizza. It would be a great idea to put a tiny home community of single people as well as seniors. What do you think? So I think that's a great idea, Sherry. I'm definitely all in favor of tiny homes, at least being built in the right places, to be able to provide people with opportunities for housing where they might not have it. However, the land that you talk about on the side of Queen Pizza, in addition to a lot of the smaller plots of land on Brewer Street, are actually owned by Pratt & Whitney, and we've actually, for a couple years now, have been trying to acquire some of that land for them for the very purpose of what you're talking about, whether it's building housing, retail, commercial development, put these back on the tax roll. Right now, they do generate taxes from Pratt & Whitney, but they just sit vacant. So we are looking for a better use of them. However, we have received some resistance from Pratt for selling those properties, and at least at this time right now, we're not in a position to be able to acquire them. So I think it's a great idea. The land's owned by Pratt & Whitney. So in order for us to purchase them and get them developed, they've got to agree to sell them to the town, which they have not at this moment. So, but thank you very much for your question, Sherry. All right, next question is from a homeowner. Do you know what's going on at DePietro Park? Or what was going on Sunday, April 27th? It appears Public Works was putting down gravel. Yes, so at DePietro Park, very, very exciting. We're bringing the Pollinator Pathways vision to life. It's a project that reimagines DePietro Park. Right now, the park consists of 3 pollinator gardens, in addition to a sunflower maze that was just planted by Handle Farm, as well as some students from Synergy right across the street. So, Sunset Ridge right across the street. So this is really just a vision that I had to reimagine this park, create a better use, give residents an opportunity to come to this park, get their leisure, as well as learn about the importance of pollination. So after we had built the original pollinator garden, which was built by the East Hartford Rotary Club, East Hartford Beautification Commission, as well as the East Hartford Garden Club, the We Love You Foundation ended up driving by and kind of taking interest in the project. They have an environmental focus on their own, and wanted to essentially build the next 2 gardens for us. They were able to acquire all of the funding, all of the labor, and we have 2 beautiful gardens there now. So if you get a chance, you're walking by, please check it out. We do have a grand opening that will be in July to do a ribbon cutting for the 3 new gardens and the sunflower maze that we have there. And this is just the beginning. We plan to continue to add gardens. We've got another organization that's interested for our next garden. This will be number 4. So stay tuned for information on that grand opening ribbon cutting to come soon this July. But just an exciting re-envisioning of the park. So check it out if you get a chance. All right, our next question is from a concerned taxpayer. Could you please comment on the April 10th letter to the Gazette concerning the sad fate of the One Wood Pub? And so this article was written by well-known Donald Carvey. I've talked with this individual before, and so yeah, unfortunately, you're right. One Wood Pub did leave the golf course. This was in transition to the new management company that the town has awarded the management contract to. That management contract expired in November. We did have to award it to a new vendor. By that time, in my talks with Matt Corey, he was already planning on leaving. Unfortunately, Matt Corey did bid on the golf course management, but was not awarded it. It was actually awarded to Troon, nationwide company who operates and manages a number of golf courses. At the end of the day, Matt Corey, I want to applaud him for both his statesmanship, but also just being a great restaurant operator. It's unfortunate that he chose to leave and go operate somewhere else. We are working on bringing a new food and beverage operator into the golf course restaurant space. But at the end of the day, Matt worked very well with us. It's unfortunate to see him go. We definitely wish him well. But I do want to applaud him. He's just good guy all around. I do know him a little better than just him being a restaurant operator. So based on this article, I can see that it touches on, because he ran he ran against Chris Murphy that we kicked him out, and that's just kind of a foolish statement. It's obviously untrue. Matt Corey himself will tell you that that's untrue. So we just couldn't make it work. He decided to go somewhere else. Like I said, it's unfortunate, but creates an opportunity for a new restaurant operator, food and beverage operator to come into the golf course. So we wish him well, and we thank him for his service to the town of East Hartford. All right, our next question is from a frequent driver, taxpayer of Forbes Street. So your question is, are the traffic accident reports you referred to available for viewing on Forbes Street, Chester Street? Yes, they are. We had informed the public of that traffic data when we had given the roundabout town hall. If you guys remember, it was in the news. It was at town hall back in, I believe, March. And so, yeah, we had to present the data. We have to present the data to the state to justify the roundabout going in that location. So, yes, that was a part of the presentation. You can definitely find that presentation on East Hartford's website. And it has all the data. It actually is a complete heat map that shows not just that intersection, but a number of intersections where we're looking at other traffic calming measures, where the data shows a number of motor vehicle accidents, pedestrian deaths, as well as speeding data. So for any of that information, just visit the town's website. It was a part of our presentation that we had sent out to the public and that we had presented during the town hall. Do we have any, how does putting in a state-funded roundabout at Forbes and Chester help the driving issue we have? Yes, so also touched on in the presentation at the town hall. There was also a recording of that presentation as well, so if you would like us to send it to you, we absolutely can, so you can listen in on everything that we discussed that pretty much answers all of your questions. And so a roundabout is a surefire way to force driver behavior to change. As you know right now, that is a signalized intersection. We have the most amount of accidents in town in that intersection. The intersection itself sits up high. And so what we're finding is that through bad drivers, many being East Hartford residents, some being not, are pretty much speeding through that intersection, trying to beat the light. And because the intersection sits so high up, they're unable to see who's on the other side. And in a very last minute notice, speeding through that intersection, they end up crashing or, in the worst case, hitting a pedestrian. And so a roundabout, unlike a signalized intersection, unlike a stop sign intersection, forces driver behavior to change. And it does so by forcing drivers to pay attention. With roundabouts, as you may know, it forces drivers to slow down. You have to stay in your lane. You can only go one speed. You can't go around people. You can only stay in your lane. You obviously can't run through a roundabout like you can a signalized intersection, or you're going to ruin your car. We need to start forcing drivers to change their behavior. We need to force them to slow down, force them to stay in their lane. And I think a roundabout is a surefire way to be able to do so. So that's why. And once again, through that presentation, there are a number of case studies, a number of roundabouts that the state has implemented that have proven to decrease motor vehicle accidents as well as pedestrian deaths. So the data's there. We have the data to justify this intersection, and we are going to move forward with this roundabout, the state-funded roundabout. It's not taxpayer-funded, so that we can make sure that we address the bad driving behavior happening in that intersection. In the same question you asked, do we have any officers dedicated to traffic? Yes, we do. So unfortunately, we have 8 officers on shift at any time, and 2 of those officers are usually dedicated to traffic. One's divided by the north side of town, one by the south. So you basically have 1 officer on each side of town trying to combat bad driving behavior at a number of intersections. And that is why a roundabout is so important. In addition to some of the other traffic calming measures we're taking, such as speed cameras, red light cameras, all that is in draft ordinance right now with the town council. But it's acknowledging that we can't have an officer at every single intersection. And so what other tools can we leverage to, once again, address driver behavior where an officer cannot be present? Once again, that's a very much reason for why we want to do a roundabout in this intersection. That one officer, I can't have them at this intersection all day long. They need to bounce around the south end of town or north end of town in order to be able to address some of the traffic behaviors. So a roundabout ensures that traffic behavior is being addressed in this intersection without an officer having to be there. So I hope that makes sense. But obviously, for any traffic concerns you guys may have, please call the non-emergent traffic hotline at 860-528-4401. And police will get out there right away anytime you guys are seeing that. So once again, thank you very much for your question. All right, our next question is from Will. Will says, being a walker, what will happen to the walk signals at Chester Street if you are going to cross Forbes with a roundabout? really great question. So, as you know, right now in a signalized intersection, the crosswalk is pretty much right up against the intersection. The roundabout does not follow the same path. It actually moves the crosswalks back so that you're not crossing within the roundabout. You're crossing before the roundabout even starts. And so the signalization to give the flashers, to give the beacons, to notify the drivers that you're going to cross are simply just going to be pushed back. The entire intersection is going to be reconfigured. The signalization, the red light, yellow light, green light is going to be removed. And any of those pedestrian signalizations are simply going to be moved back. So will the crosswalks. So that you're crossing at almost the slowest entry point of the roundabout. But like I said, it is outside of the roundabout. It's not within it. That would be dangerous. So we're doing it before we're having you cross before people even get into the roundabout. So, but that's a really, really great question. I appreciate it. All right, our next question is from Charlie. Just heard the sad news about Anderson Jewelers. Do you have plans to bring new businesses to Main Street? Yeah, so I want to agree with you, and I want to thank George Agnelli and his entire family for the years of service that they've given to East Hartford. And Anderson Jewelers has been an absolute staple on Main Street. And, I am sad to see them go. I know he's moving to Glastonbury to another store that he already owns, and we absolutely wish him the best. I've worked quite well with George within my first term, and he's quite passionate about Main Street, quite passionate about the town of East Hartford, and I appreciate the years of service he's given to this town. So yes, the plan is always to attract new businesses, and so we're doing a couple things with Main Street, right? Is we're giving Main Street a facelift. This year you're going to start to see some of the sidewalks get replaced, revitalized, as well as the replacement of street lights. In addition to that, we continue to work with DOT to explore things like roundabouts and putting in left turn signals and decreasing the amount of lanes so that we can slow down traffic. If I can't get people to cross the street back and forth on Main Street, I fear that nothing I do on the side in terms of economic development is going to be successful. So we really need to address the traffic flow on Main Street. You guys know traffic moves very fast on Main Street. We have 18-wheelers that are flying up and down. We've got to create a safer, more pedestrian-oriented Main Street, and we're working with DOT to be able to do so. And then lastly, we're continuing to pursue the Bissell Street conversion into a pedestrian-only entertainment venue. We are actually planning to shut down the road, or to vote to shut down the road, July 15th. Council is the only authority that has the authority to shut down the road, and so we're going to hold a public hearing on July 15th. We're going to present the Bissell Street vision once again to the community, and then council is going to take a vote to either shut down the road or to keep it open. And then right after that vote takes place, we're working with Eversource to bury a few power lines, and then we're going to rebuild the road flat into a proper entertainment venue that we can program on a regular basis. And for those who are aware of the Bissell Street vision, or who have attended a few of the block parties we've had, you could really see the vision come to life, and it's been an excellent success so far in terms of creating a venue that we typically didn't have before for cultural programming. So it is my hope with that Bissell Street venue that is going to drive foot traffic to Main Street. It can help be the catalyst for economic development along Main Street and get in some new stores that East Hartford wants to shop at. And I want to be very clear. Half of this is that East Hartford's simply not shopping at some of the stores on Main Street. And it's just what it is. I don't know if it's because it's stores we don't want, stores we don't desire. Outside of the cost of running a small business, which is quite high for those who run a small business, I'm sure you know the burden better than anybody else. But at the end of the day, we as residents have to support our local businesses. I don't know where you guys go to shop. I don't know if you go to other towns, but if we have businesses on Main Street that you're going to other towns for, I'd strongly encourage you to pay attention to what we have here in East Hartford and give it a chance. Shop at some of these local businesses, especially the ones on Main Street that are owned by mom and pop local residents. They deserve a chance. They offer a great product. So, strongly encourage you guys to continue to look at Main Street, look at the businesses, shop there if you're not already, because we got a lot of great stuff on Main Street already. And so, where one business leaves, I think it creates an opportunity for a new business to come in, one that we would actually want to shop at. So, with that, once again, I just want to thank George Agnelli for his time and his family's time in giving back to the town of East Hartford. So thank you. Thank you very much for that question. All right, so our next question is from an East Hartford taxpayer. I was stopped at the red light at Plaza 2 on Silver Lane last evening when I observed two cars on the other side of the road go through the red light. I believe you had indicated that the light was going to change to red to flashing yellow with the help of Jason Rojas. So actually, as of this question is outdated. As of right now, the light has been changed to flashing yellow, so you no longer need to stop at the light. You can go through to the light that I believe is at the intersection of all these in Silver Lane Plaza. So at this point, the light has been changed and that has been addressed. All right, our next question is from a concerned taxpayer concerning do I have any comments on the Kevin Rennie article this past Sunday, Sunday's Hartford Current, May 11th, about the unsavory business in the state and its connection to East Hartford and the current finance director. So at this time, because the entire situation remains under investigation, I have been monitoring it closely. And as of right now, I just want to state that my finance director is doing a phenomenal job for the town of East Hartford. I appreciate the effort and time that she gives to the town. I do not have any concerns right now. I continue to monitor the situation. But as of right now, I do not have any concerns. She's doing a phenomenal job for us. But there's nothing substantial to make me worried about my finance director. So thank you very much for that question. All right, our next question is from Amber. Our last question is from Amber. Who is paying the police officers working the Pratt and Whitney strike? Is it if it's taxpayer dollar, will Pratt be billed for all the overtime? So I'm really I appreciate this question, Amber. And so unfortunately, the town is on the hook for the overtime that it costs police to be at all sites during the strike of Pratt & Whitney and the Machinists Union. Per state law, we cannot bill the Pratt, we cannot bill the union. And so just for all transparency, so far this strike has cost the town $115,000 in overtime that we did not budget for. And that is what concerns me the most, is the impact that will now have on the taxpayers. I am very glad that the strike is over. I'm glad that both sides came to a resolution and were able to find a path forward. But you were absolutely right. There is an impact to the town when these things happen. Per state statute, we can't bill anybody else. But as of right now, we did accrue $115,000 in overtime to support the strike and to make sure that people were able to safely get in and out, as well as ensure the safety of the strikers. So thank you very much for your question, but this is a product of a strike, and this is what state statute allows us to do. So thank you very much again for that question. All right, my friends, that is all the questions we have for you today. Thank you so much. Once again, this is a two-parter, so the next part of the questions will be in 2 Wednesdays from now when we do our next Ask the Mayor recording. So stay tuned. Continue to always send me your questions. As you guys know, I love educating and informing you on what's going on in town. So once again, have a great Wednesday, everybody, and have a great rest of the week, and happy summer.